The Vietnam War, a conflict that still echoes through time, shaping not just a nation but an entire generation. You know, it's fascinating how what started as a limited military engagement turned into America's longest war at that time. Picture this, it's 1955 and the world is caught in the grip of the Cold War. The US looks at Vietnam and sees dominoes. If one country falls to communism, they feared others would follow like a line of tumbling blocks. What began as sending a few military advisors snowballed into something nobody expected. I always think about those young Americans, average age just 19, dropped into a world they couldn't have imagined. The humid jungles, the unfamiliar terrain, fighting an enemy that seemed to appear and disappear like ghosts. This wasn't like their father's war, World War II, with clear front lines and obvious enemies. This was something entirely different. The war brought new terms into our vocabulary: search and destroy, hearts and minds, body count. Television brought the horrors of war into American living rooms for the first time. Families would eat dinner while watching footage of battles and casualties, creating an unprecedented connection between the home front and the battlefield. But perhaps what's most striking about Vietnam is how it transformed American society. The war sparked massive protests, divided families, and challenged everything from military strategy to moral values. Young people burned draft cards, protesters faced off against police, and returning veterans often found themselves caught in the middle of a nation torn apart by conflicting views about the war. And let's talk about the cost. Not just the 58,000 American lives lost, but the millions of Vietnamese casualties, both military and civilian. The psychological toll was immense, with many veterans struggling with what we now know as PTSD, though back then, we barely had a name for it. When the last American helicopters lifted off from the US Embassy in Saigon in 1975, they left behind more than just a war zone. They left behind questions that we're still grappling with today, about America's role in the world, about the limits of military power, about when and why we send our young people to fight. The Vietnam War wasn't just a military conflict. It was a moment that forced America to look in the mirror and question everything it thought it knew about itself. And maybe that's why even today, decades later, we're still trying to understand what it all meant. Still learning lessons from those turbulent years that shaped our world in ways we're still discovering.